The Bucs and Baker Mayfield have agreed on a 3-year deal with a max value of $115 million to keep him in Tampa, according to our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. Field resurrecting his career with the Bucs this past season led them to an...
If you've been a longtime follower of this channel, you'd know that the Baker Mayfield storyline was one of my favorite ones to cover over the past 2 years plus. This NFL offseason already has gotten off to a crazy start. On Saturday, we saw Jerry Jeudy get traded, and then on Sunday, we saw Mac Jones get traded for peanuts, and now moves are starting to be made. Kirk Cousins' decision is either out right now or should be out very soon, so I highly recommend you subscribe and turn on our notifications so you can make sure you don't miss any of the news. And now that we get all of that out of the way, work! Look right over here, you'll see all of these wonderful human beings that have been able to make some money by playing Prize Picks. And I give away my picks for free each and every day on my Instagram at TheFlightMike and Snapchat at FlightMikeSnap. And right now they're hooking up my subscribers fat when you use my promo code FlightMike when you sign up for Prize Picks. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Before Baker Mayfield stepped onto the field for the Cleveland Browns, they were notorious for being one of the worst teams when it came to evaluating quarterback talent. The Browns were memed mercilessly for their inability to find a franchise QB, with one fan even wearing a jersey that looked like this. And it wasn't only this fan, you would see multiple variations of these jerseys from disgruntled fans that weren't able to find their franchise QB. And this fan even continued it. But when Baker Mayfield burst onto the scene in his rookie season, he looked like the Browns' best QB in quite some time, throwing for 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, and he didn't even play a full season. He played in 14 games. The Browns had so much confidence in Baker Mayfield that they let him handpick the new head coach, so they hired from within, promoting Freddie Kitchens to the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and even trading for Odell Beckham Jr. The results were absolutely disastrous. Baker Mayfield regressed, Freddie Kitchens was clearly not capable of being a head coach, so the very next year they decided to fire Freddie Kitchens and brought in Kevin Stefanski. The result was the best season the Cleveland Browns have had in almost 2 decades. Not only did they make it to the playoffs, but they were able to eviscerate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baker Mayfield had single-digit interceptions, threw for 26 touchdowns and over 3,500 passing yards. But the year after would be very tumultuous for Baker. In a year where the Cleveland Browns had to make a decision and figure out which version of Baker Mayfield was the real version. Was it the one that they saw in 2019, or was it the one that they saw in their rookie year and in 2020? Unfortunately for Baker, he was hampered by a shoulder injury, and in typical Baker Mayfield Iron Man fashion, he decided to play through this shoulder injury. The results were disastrous once again. The man had 17 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. His star wide receiver's dad called him out for not being able to find OBJ when he was wide open, and eventually, when the season concluded, the Browns opted to trade a historic draft haul for Deshaun Watson and sign him to an unprecedented fully guaranteed contract as opposed to exercising Baker Mayfield's 5th-year option. And at that point, things got really bad for Baker Mayfield very quickly. In 2022, Baker Mayfield got traded to the Carolina Panthers, which was another horrific situation as the Panthers would fire Matt Rule a few weeks into Baker Mayfield's tenure with the team. And before you knew it, Baker Mayfield would get cut in the middle of the season. He would latch on with the LA Rams and show some promise before he went into a crucial 2023 season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers signed Baker to a 1-year, $8 million contract, but this was easily the best situation Baker Mayfield has ever been in his entire career. Easily the best wide receiver core that he's had in his entire career, with the likes of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, Russell Gage when he was healthy, and a solid defense to back him up. The results featured Baker Mayfield's best season of his entire career. He finally eclipsed the 4,000-yard passing mark with a completion percentage of 64%. He made it into the playoffs and he won a playoff game. And this was enough for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to realize that they may have found their franchise QB. In the earlier part of the offseason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers agreed to a remarkable contract extension with Mike Evans. And I said in my video on Mike Evans that this was a tremendous contract. I mean, Mike Evans was signed to a 2-year, $52 million contract that included $135 million guaranteed. That's a steal considering what he brings to the table, and it's not an overpay at all whatsoever for a wide receiver that gave the Buccaneers an idea that he would leave in free agency if he wasn't paid adequately in the beginning of the season. And I was a firm believer that if Mike Evans didn't come back, then everything would fall apart. Baker Mayfield would not have the season that he did, where he threw for 28 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, if he didn't have one of the NFL's best wide receivers of this generation on his team. And once they brought Mike Evans back, the question was, what are they going to do with Baker Mayfield? I advocated for re-signing Baker Mayfield, primarily because you wouldn't have to pay him that much, and paying Baker Mayfield a below market salary over the next couple of years would actually put you in a scenario where you can contend for the foreseeable future. And it seems like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers agreed. According to Ian Rappaport, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are closing in on a deal with quarterback Baker Mayfield, helping Tampa Bay become home for their starter. He gets a 3-year deal worth $100 million with $50 million guaranteed. The Bucs continue to work on keeping their core. Now, Baker Mayfield would confirm the deal and said this about the brand new deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers: "I wanted a chance to come back. I love Coach Bowles and the staff. I'm happy to be here, and I want to win more in the postseason." The details of Baker Mayfield's contract are absolutely insane. In 2024, he gets $30 million. In 2025, he gets $30 million, including 20 guaranteed, and then he gets $40 million in 2026, which is $5 million per year in incentives, $100 million total, with incentives a max value of $115 million. I absolutely love this deal for Baker Mayfield, and I also love this deal for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because with this contract that Baker Mayfield just signed, he's not even a top 10 highest paid QB in the NFL. And by the time it's all said and done with this offseason, when Kirk Cousins signs, when Dak Prescott signs his potential $60 million contract extension, and then when Tua also signs his contract extension with the Miami Dolphins, he's probably going to be outside of the top 15 potentially. And this gives the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tremendous flexibility. Is Baker Mayfield the long-term answer under center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Maybe not, but it's not like they're handicapped with this contract. They bring back Mike Evans on a below market contract. Mike Evans gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a hometown discount, and the reason why he did that was because he knew what he was getting when he gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a hometown discount. He was going to return to Tampa Bay, he was going to be the featured wide receiver and the number one option on their offense, and he was probably going to get Baker Mayfield back, who already had chemistry with Mike Evans. That's the whole reason why this works out so well. If you told me that Mike Evans was leaving to the Kansas City Chiefs and Baker Mayfield was going to return to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then I'd be a little concerned. But these two worked out together so well this past year, but it gives the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a plethora of cap space to potentially pursue a brand new left guard, which they've had a huge void at left guard ever since Ali Marpet randomly retired 2 years ago. The same could be said about the center position. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could potentially look significantly different at the linebacker position, especially because we don't really know what the future of Devin White's going to look like, considering how inconsistent he's been over the past couple of years. But at the end of the day, the reason why this deal is so brilliant is because it gives the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tremendous flexibility. There's no question in my mind that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be competitors in the NFC South. And when you're paying a quarterback $30 million a year, it gives you the flexibility to try to strengthen up other aspects of your team. Do I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield under center? It could happen. Whenever you pay a mid-tier QB mid-tier money and you're not overvaluing his talent and you're able to fortify other parts of your team, then yes, it's not beyond the scope of possibility to potentially make a run into the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield was good enough to beat whatever was left of the Philadelphia Eagles this past year. I know that's not saying much, but you also have to remember this isn't a team that got decimated versus the Detroit Lions in the divisional round. This was a team that held their own against the Detroit Lions. So I do think with some adjustments and obviously some additions, and if they continue to manage their assets the way that they've had, I don't think it's beyond the scope of possibility to make a run to the Super Bowl. At the same time, if they don't make a run into the Super Bowl, or if a huge upgrade comes at the quarterback position, then you could take your chances and try to get yourself a brand new QB. When it's all said and done, he's not even going to be a top 15 highest paid QB in the NFL. It's absolutely phenomenal for a team that has been doing a remarkable job bridging the gap from the Tom Brady era into this new era with Baker Mayfield under center. I do have one slight concern, and that's the fact that Dave Canales Dallas is now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, so I wonder how this is going to affect Baker Mayfield. But for the most part, all of the pieces that made the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a solid playoff team are still there. Now look, the NFC South might look completely different this upcoming season, considering the fact that the Atlanta Falcons won 7 games with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke alternating as QBs, and they're currently the favorite to sign Kirk Cousins. But moving forward with a quarterback on an undervalued contract gives the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tremendous flexibility to fill out the other parts of their roster. Do I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield on this type of contract? Absolutely. And I know you might think I'm insane for saying so, but this is peanuts for a quarterback. The only way Baker Mayfield would win a Super Bowl is in a scenario like this, where he's not being paid as one of the top QBs in the NFL, which saves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers salary cap space to go after additional free agents to fill out other parts of their roster. I give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers an A+ for their offseason so far. Are they a scary team that screams Super Bowl contender right now? No, but do they have the talent to potentially win their division and potentially sneak into the wild card and make some noise once again? Absolutely, I believe so. And probably most importantly is I love how this story ended for Baker Mayfield. I'm happy that he got his payday. I'm happy that he is making at least $50 million for all the trouble that he's gone throughout his career. We did a deep dive on Baker Mayfield's career, and I'll leave that in the end screen if you guys want to check it out. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about Baker Mayfield's brand new contract, especially if you're a Bucs fan. Do you think there's a chance that Baker Mayfield will be able to hoist a Lombardi for you guys one day? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.